micro opportunities, or they are few and far between. We are training as if we are going to be an LCS team, you know, at some point in our careers, or the players. It is all macro orientated. So this is why they win their games. They have strong macro focus.
It's actually something we heard from GTV Sports last year, where they were talking about how even if they are individually better than the teams they're playing for the perfect game. They're playing for the safe game, because you will not be individually better when you go to the international stage, right? Looking up, aiming for the long run, not the short wins. I like the concept. It seems to be working. Let's see if Mad Lions can go 3-0 and also top their group. We're getting ready for picks and bans as the players are in the lobby, so I want to turn our attention to the gameplay. I want to turn our attention to the players specifically. What champions do you think are high priority for both of these teams? Does anybody have a strong feeling? Foxtrot?
I wish I had my notebook where I wrote it out before, but I feel like Jax is going to be... imagine I'm holding up a sign that says ban Jax.
Jax gets banned.
Jax is going to get banned versus Werle 100%. You don't let that one through. He's really good on those kind of champions. And I think self-made as well. His Sejuani's been really strong, so you might want to put some focus on that.
I'm going to lean towards the fact that, talking less about champions, I feel like Ninjas and Pyjamas' weakest point has been their macro. That's their weakest area of their gameplay overall. They've won through crazy micro late-game team fights, or Smiley doing micro team fight plays on Caitlyn. Their macro has been poor, and you can see that with the decisions that they made in the last game. Larson choosing not to base earlier, took 3 inhibs, but lost the game, you know, like, so I feel like that's where they're going to come undone versus Mad Lions. I feel like Sejuani is going to be a big pick for both of these teams. Kadril does like to default onto Sejuani, and Selfmade has showed that he has a massive impact on that pick.
Let's take a look what priority is locked in as it stands. Phase 1 bans. Kled, Rakan, Caitlyn. Definitely target bans. With Kai'Sa and Swain removed from the table by Ninjas and Pyjamas, they have one additional option. But those top tier ADCs are gone, and not a lot of mid lane bans. So maybe a little bit more wiggle room here for Nemesis and Larson. Foxtrot, what would you like to see Mad Lions maybe leaning towards?
Well, if the Jax does go banned here, whatever happens, I doubt you would first pick it. Ryze, to me, is the thing that's standing out here, which I would like to see being picked up, because I think Nemesis, he's a highly talented mid laner. He can carry in his own rate 100%, definitely, without a doubt. You stick him on that Ryze or Azir, then he can do
you prefer Azir to Ryze?
I don't actually prefer Azir to Ryze. I know Larson's a very good Ryze player as well, so I would have liked to have seen Ryze here personally.
I think with a good jungler, Azir can take massive dominance over Ryze in the lane pre-level 8, and I think if Selfmade can look to have mid-focus, this might work out for them.
Which jungler do you think it should be for Selfmade to be that good jungler?
I would like to see any of the Sejuani, Skarner, maybe even Olaf if he can make it work. There's plenty of options for him there.
I think Skarner specifically would be nice, because you're looking to get that impact early, and out of those 3 champions, Skarner's the best one at doing it, because he's slightly less ultimate reliant than the other champions. Not to say his ultimate isn't a huge factor in itself, but you can get that early pressure. Also,
the teamfight combo of Azir into Skarner, the pull into the Shurima shuffle, it makes the Shurima shuffle easier and isolates that target much easier. Yeah,
the combination is what you're looking for. The Ryze was locked in, so Larson will have that comfort pick. Ryze into Azir, a matchup that we just love seeing. Tristana is, of course, locked in there for XD Smiley S6T, however many letters you want to throw in there as well. Just a reminder for what is at stake here for Ninjas and Pyjamas. If they lose this game, they will be tied at 1 win and 2 losses, along with Movistar Riders and SPG, meaning another 3-way tie where teams need to battle for their lives in the tournament. Coming back to the draft, Trundle and Ezreal locked in very quickly, followed by what appears to be an insta-lock Camille, so that's a lot of info.
A blind insta-Camille as well, which is interesting, because they've got 3 carries locked in their first rotation, one of which has been picked. Well, in fact, Tristana was picked blind as well, but it's Tristana.
Yeah.
But that's I don't know. I honestly, I liked when they when they picked the Tristana and they picked the Ryze, because it's very clear what you want to play around and who your carries want to be. Larson's a great Ryze player. XD Smiley's a great Tristana player. Then you build a team comp around that. To then chuck a Camille into it feels a little bit out of place. But I like it because Finn is this kind of player. Any kind of player who gets Kled banned away from them probably is the kind of player who likes Camille too.
Scoundrel, and it's not the junglers you're hoping for. It's a Trundle. It's not the Skarner. It wasn't the Sejuani. Sejuani's in fact banned along with Fiora and Jax.
Yeah, so Sejuani banned against Kadril because it's one of the picks that he defaults onto. What I think does show from this first pick phase from Ninjas and Pyjamas is they're very much wanting to get those solo lanes focused and get into a 1-3-1. I actually think you'll see less bot lane focus for Smiley here, which means he just wants to sit back on Tristana, clear waves, and scale up and hit power spikes. I think you're more likely to see a bit more focus towards top.
I'm worried that the ban's coming through here for Mad Lions. Okay, fair enough.
What?
You know what? That's cool.
Why Ivern?
Kadril played a lot of Ivern.
For me, this is like, please don't play Olaf. Okay, what's next down the pecking list? I probably wouldn't have put Ivan in there, but
I do kind of like the idea of the synergy with the Camille, with the Ryze, get them in range. You've got Daisy to tank some stuff up. I can see this kind of working.
I feel like you. I don't know. I don't think you can team fight with this composition.
You need an Alistair here, I would say, if you want to save things here.
Absolutely.
So there comes the Alistair, and you're picking something you want. You've got that supporty in the jungle there to play around your carries, hard protect your carries, and then you've also got. You kind of need something kind of tanky and some sort of engage. I feel like Ivan is sort of the odd man out here, but I'm also. I don't know. For me, this is just like a. There's a lot. It's a very sharp team comp. I'm going to call it sharp because it's pointy. You know, there's a lot of points.
I see where this is going. I'm in tune.
Yeah, right. Imagine you've got a spear where there's 1 point. Okay, you avoid that point. That's cool. Now imagine your spear's got like 3, 5, 6, 7.
It's like a shuriken.
You know, like
exactly. And you're waving this thing about. Suddenly, there's a lot of points to avoid.
Out of interest, is it very difficult to wield? You know, could you stab yourself as easily as you could stab someone else?
Suddenly, you get. It's like you're doing it, but now you're drunk.
Okay.
And now you're floundering around the place.
So Ivan makes the competition drunk.
We have children playing the game. It's kind of like you've lost your balance, right?
You've eaten too many Smarties.
There we go.
Especially the blue ones. Stay away
can I
from
translate
those
this
kids.
into adult language?
I would like to hear that,
Yeah, I'll
please.
translate it into adult language. What Foxy's trying to get at is it's a multi-threat composition of which you're going to have multiple different ways to potentially carry the game. It looks like it's a transition into 1-3-1. I don't feel like this composition is designed to teamfight. I feel like they will get slaughtered, especially by the Azir. However, the Ivan does provide disengage for the 3 in the middle as well, just a little bit.
Got it. Gentlemen, we don't have a lot of time for predictions, so give me a very quick hit on who you think's going to win and why.
I'm going to float the boat out here and go with the Spanish team because they win everything. So, Mad Lions.
How was that floating the boat out?
It was a joke. It's not floating the boat out.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say too many blue Smarties. I'm giving it to the Spanish team as well.
Mad Lions. For the first time, Foxtrot agrees with Excoundrel.
He agrees with me.
His downfall?
I said it first.
Second vote means you agreed with him. Ladies and gentlemen, Hipbrain and Celtic, please take it away.
Well, have Ninjas in Pyjamas had too much to drink or just too many Smarties? That is going to be the question, as they've drafted a fruity comp here.
I'm not sure fruity is the adjective I was going for. But
it's Ivan, nature,
I wouldn't
fruits.
have gone for pointy either. So maybe my adjectives are just a little too mainstream for everyone.
What, like crack?
Yeah, potentially.
That's going back, actually. I should probably break that down. Crack means fun in Irish.
It does indeed, and I'm not going to attempt a
metaphor. But this is going to be a fun game.
It absolutely
It has a lot of potential to be a fun game.
I love Ivern. I do. I like the champion, and I think in this comp it's really interesting, specifically because NiP have struggled to really execute in their win conditions in the past. That's my only worry when you lock this kind of thing in. You go, oh, I really like it. The comp looks cool. You can kind of, shield people. You can engage. You have all these individual carries. You can facilitate. NiP have struggled to execute in win conditions in the past, and Mad Lions have not. Mad Lions have absolutely played this excellent macro game that I expect to see from them again.
Well, yesterday, Ninjas in Pyjamas played against SPG, and they were looking for fights constantly. And this is something we've not seen Mad Lions do too much of, is constantly fight. They rely heavily on their macro, heavily on just pulling the enemy team to their beat, their drum, pulling them around the map and making them play their game of League of Legends. So if Ninjas in Pyjamas can force a fight out of them, I'm not saying Mad Lions can't fight, it's just we haven't seen them fight.
Yeah, absolutely. We have not seen the Lions fight yet. But at the same time, they have made sure that they do not have to.
Well, let us know who you think will win on that Twitter vote down below over at esl.pm/EMvote. We'll release the statistics on that later on in the game. I am kind of expecting, I was going to say suggesting, expecting we'll probably see quite a heavy vote towards Mad Lions, to be fair.
Yeah, we've seen the Spanish fans come out in force in the past, but Swedes that are mostly represented here on the Ninjas in Pyjamas roster could also come out. I can see those Swedish fans try to combat the Spanish side, which, again, we talked about how strong France looked. Spain, not far behind them.
Well, if you are a Swedish fan, do head over to that Twitter link and vote for your team, Ninjas in Pyjamas. But if you're Spanish, you want to be voting for the Mad Lions. Both the teams have taken to the Summoner's Rift for the 6th and final game of the day.
Final game of groups, even.
Final games of groups. And
well, aside from the tiebreakers, of course.
And this potentially has a chance to make another tiebreaker as well.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot on the line here.
In fact, the expected result coming into this, before the draft, would have been that Mad Lions take it. And that does guarantee the tiebreaker between the bottom 3 teams of that group. From Mad Lions' point of view, all you need to do is execute in the same thing that you have done every game. In your early game, it's slow, but it's methodical. You make sure anytime you make a play on the map, you're the one who's leading in terms of objectives. I want to see if NiP, with some of these more interesting solo picks like the Camille, can try punish that.
We'll have to see if they can lead those objectives, as we've seen Mad Lions do 2 times already. Remember, this is the #1 seed from Spain, and Spain has been an incredibly dominant...
They actually just missed them.
That is unfortunate.
They didn't put a ward down, and they now don't spot out this invade.
That's big as well for Ivern. Obviously, Ivern wants to try and get as many camps cleared as quick as possible. Not particularly great at invading.
He's super reliant on his blue buff. And not only did they make sure that that invade didn't happen, Sion went back and waited for Ivern to attempt the invade on the other blue. And he's actually taking a camp before people start freaking out. He's using his passive, and he's going to use the classic Sion level 2 rush. Unusual to do it on your own camps, but what they decided was it's better that Sion gets it than Ivern.
Well, he managed to pick up 2 camps as well. That's level 8 on Whirlib now. He
level
has
8?
TP, sorry, 8 CS, sorry.
That would have been
a long game, all right?
That would have been very impressive.
That XL game fried my brain.
But this comes back to the smart macro we've seen from Mad Lions. Even this early on, they managed to make sure that they 3-buff the Ivern, who's known for trying to steal camps in the early game, is known to be super reliant on that blue buff. And now that slows him down heavily.
Now Selfmade also heading up towards potentially going for a pick onto Larssen, who's very low on mana, does have the flash. Nemesis taking a pretty heavy trade. Now we see Larssen running towards his jungle lord, does have his flash, and Selfmade not going to be able to find that pick. He needed to do that though.
Yeah, I mean, he could have flashed for it, but at the same time, Larssen had both his summoners. It wouldn't have been a kill, but it might have forced out some of those summoners if he wanted them, but Caedrel instead.
Caedrel's forced to flash away. Selfmade places a fantastic pillar just to zone him out. And Larssen was actually winning that 1v1 in mid lane versus Nemesis, so we're already seeing Selfmade be very proactive on the map and starting to help the lanes for the Mad Lions.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for me was that Larssen, yes, he was winning that 1v1, but I would almost say winning's a strong word. He had just completely run out of mana. He had not got the mana to finish off that Azir, and Selfmade was arriving at the same time. I think that's really important to note, because it means that Nemesis wasn't overcommitting to the trade. It was partially a bait and partially a fight that he knew he was about to turn into a 1v2.
Well, Larssen is running that unsealed spellbook on the rise, so you know he's been forced out of lane, but he can obviously TP back to switch those summoner spells around. So he's going to be okay. He's going to be nice and safe in that lane, but I don't know, man. This team, they were on Diabolus. Well, 3 of the members, sorry, were on Diabolus over in the UK scene for Ninjas and Pyjamas. And they were the 6th seed coming out of the UK, so they've got a lot of proof here. They're not representing the UK. There's only 1 British player, Caedrel, there. But maybe seeing XL win earlier kind of gave them faith for the underdogs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I would note, though, is that while Ninjas and Pyjamas are looking fine, Mad Lions have done what they've done every game. They haven't looked flashy, but they've just completely out-macroed their opponents, even in this first segment of the game.
And you're seeing that exactly with Selfmade, constantly relieving pressure for his top and mid so far. And he's been doing a very good job of just, keeping the tempo in his favor. I want to see what's going to happen when we start putting our pressure on towards these side lane, onto the side lane, see when they actually start going for these macro plays, because it's very early in the game still. So a lot to do, so Mad Lions need to get themselves set up. And how Ninjas and Pyjamas respond, that's going to be the key point.
One thing I want to see now is whether Mad Lions go for this more invade-heavy style. You have this Trundle who's just forced the flash away from Ivern. Ivern has to go very low to do a lot of his camps. He's been put quite behind because he didn't get that blue buff. It'll be very difficult for him now to even attempt to fight the Trundle, to even attempt to disengage from that Trundle. Do you want to punish that? I would like to see it from Mad Lions. It's a little more aggressive than they normally go, but it's definitely something that could pay off here.
We're going to have to see whether or not Mad Lions are going to stretch out of their comfort zone. We just got a quick disconnect with one of the players, so just reconnecting, we'll be back into game nice and quick. So if anyone wondering why there has been a short pause, but should be fixed relatively soon. It's not going to be an extended one, which is nice.
We're gonna keep it chill.
Means we can have a little bit of a chat. This game's going to be very chill, to be fair.
Most likely. I think we were joking around at the desk that they've looked like sleeping lions. You know, they have just kind of sat around in the early game. But I think that's what the Scoundrel touched on in the desk. That's what it looks like. What actually happens is Mad Lions slowly start to pull ahead, and again, treating their opponents like an LCS team means that you're not looking for these heavy engages. You're looking to just start off the game by making sure you always win out in terms of objectives, regardless of how the micro goes.
Well, we are back into game. Last time we had a quick DC. He's running those minion dematerializers, so he's able to kind of slow down Nemesis' early shove.
Ooh, you almost took off your jacket there.
It's very warm in the studio. I was getting undressed.
Let's not end on that one. Just losing the jacket.
I just lose the jacket, yeah. Pretty much undressed.
It's not that warm, thankfully.
Thankfully for everyone here in the studio, I'm not going to get that undressed, but no. I don't know what to leave it with that. I was hoping you were going to pick that up and be like, okay.
Yeah, okay. Moving forward into the actual game that has been paused once again. Mad Lions still looking very strong in the macro. Ninjas Pyjamas still haven't made this big, solo play that you might expect from some of these players come through. And part of that's because Mad Lions are not given the opportunity to. You noted Selfmade. I think it doesn't hurt to reiterate that Selfmade has already made his presence quite known. And from there, it's just looking clean enough for Mad Lions, but it's so early in the game to tell.
So we've hit on the junglers. Let's have a little talk about the other lanes. Where are we watching outside of the junglers here for Mad Lions? Who's the standout players for you?
I want to look towards this mid lane, as it got very aggressive so early on. Even as Rise Azir, something we've seen a lot. And I think I would like to see more from them, see if Selfmade's going to come back here, see if Kadril's going to come back as well.
Well, we're going to have a little bit of a break until we come back into the game. We're going to let the analyst desk break this down further, so quick shot, over to you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Unfortunately, we are hearing that one of the players is having some difficulty remaining connected to the client. He's getting a couple bug splats. So while we get our League Operations team and our admins to just help triage that source of the problem and work through it with the players, we get to talk a little bit more about the team compositions, get to talk a little bit more about what we see. Scoundrel, we ended that one with a little bit of surprise. The Ivern coming in caught us off guard. You were talking quite a lot about what Ninjas Pyjamas could do. What else could Mad Lions or NiP do? Which direction would you like to take us?
Well, I was actually talking to a couple of people during the early portion of that game. Vedius, me and him chatting on Twitter. He also was completely confused by the Ivern, so I think it's not just us that were confused by the Ivern. It feels like it was more comfort for Kadril than anything. But what he was saying is, and I agree with him, is that they're looking for priority and pushing power in mid and top. So they're looking to push those waves in. Looks like we're actually back into game, so I'll just leave it there. And I go straight to the casters.
Well, it looks like we're back into game.
Back.
Thanks to Scoundrel for passing that over to me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I can now take my jacket off.
Didn't even get to round off his point. I feel a little bad for him.
You can round it off if you want for him.
No, I'm good. I'll make my own points. I don't need to rely on Vedius to make my points.
Oh. A little bit of flame here, feeling fruity is Larson stepping forward onto Nemesis. Nemesis already very low. Selfmade.
I don't think fruity means what you think it means.
It does for me. It means, spicy, but like, in a sweeter term.
Again, I don't even think you know flavors anymore. Fruit is not spicy.
You can have a spicy food.
You can have spicy food. You cannot have spicy fruit. Let's clarify here. Let's not get people too confused. I know you're a fan of your food. But let's bring it back to the game, because I feel like the food metaphors you have already tripped yourself up on. Let's come back to.
Well, if we do have a little look at the game at the moment, Finn recalling down as a wave is going to be crashing into him. Now we do actually see Kadril now being a bit proactive on the map. Remember, his flash is down, just going for a cheeky steal.
What I will say is, like, a move like that's extremely dangerous. You have no flashes, Ivern. You're against a Trundle who has pressed the attack and can 1v1 you very quickly. On top of the fact he didn't have lane priority. No vision there. He just had to rely on his own tracking of Selfmade to know that was happening. And I think that's fine. You've seen him around the mid lane. But if you'd been collapsed on, that's a dead Ivern.
Great Q from Larson. Also stops Nemesis from actually getting his base off, which will force him in lane. He's very low on health. He's very worried about Larson's potential all in, and Larson playing with a lot of pressure in this mid lane. Not playing too scared around Selfmade, knowing that Larson held that flash last time he tried to come in for a gank. But if you do look on the mini-map, we do have Selfmade trying to make his way up.
And what I do like here is what I would like to note here, I should say, is that they prioritized this Azir over the Ryze specifically. They knew the Ryze was left up, and they went, look, Azir is our pick to go to, and so far it hasn't shown up. But I don't think they drafted it for the early game. They didn't draft it for that laning phase. I think they were looking forward. They want to see, as the game goes forward, maybe make plays around the team, and maybe valuing that Azir that little bit over the Ryze, maybe specifically in the sieges as well.
I have to see whether or not that Azir kind of comes out in that siege. For the moment, Larson playing with a lot of pressure in lane, trying to shove in Nemesis constantly, and Selfmade's constantly trying to hang around as well, trying to relieve some of that pressure for Nemesis, but Larson is really playing aggressive, which is actually typical Larson, but like this is more aggression than I've ever seen Larson play with in the past.
And I think he's doing it well. Like, you could see that Nemesis is going low. He's being pushed back. He actually will need his jungler to help him out in that. And it's nice if you know, okay, you're actually forcing jungle pressure in the mid lane. It starts to move away from Mad Lions control the map to NiP have some control and can force Selfmade to move to somewhere specific.
Well, once again, unfortunately, we're still having problems with the technical issue, so we're going to go back to the analyst desk, and that means Xscoundrel's going to be able to round out his point.
Gentlemen, low blow insulting a person that can't reply. However, let's get some insight from the research, from the well-prepared and well-informed individual that you are, Xscoundrel. What do you make of the team comps and the opening 5 minutes?
Just trying to give the viewers some relevant information here. Getting hard flamed by one of my colleagues. Feels bad, man. Essentially what was being said was that they have top lane priority, they're trying to push through top lane, they have really good mid-game potential with the Ryze and the Camille that can make picks, they can snowball off those picks in the mid-game, and if they can work with a 2-item spike around Baron, they might be able to force that with vision control and actually just snowball from that without having to rely on the 1-3-1 itself.
I feel like this game, with the amount of bug splats we're having, looks a bit like Origin's first game. But we'll move past that one. I don't have any Riot employees to back up my points, so I'm just going to have to sit here and make jokes, because that's what I'm good at doing, apparently.
You can tell that it's on a long day, and we've had a lot of games. It's not as bad as our
last 3 games yesterday. We got a little bit crazy there.
Gentlemen, there are still teams tournament lives on the line here between Mad Lions and Ninjas in Pyjamas. We've seen 5 or 6 minutes of play. There was that early invade onto blue buff. It's really the only thing that we've had to talk about and to see. Foxtrot, you're a jungler yourself. What leads to the decision-making, you know, either to make that play or how you respond to it?
I feel like anytime you want to press an advantage or you want to put a team on the spot, you go aggressive. Anytime you're trying to force mistakes out of opponents, you don't do that by playing passive, you do that by playing aggressive, because then you're forcing the opponent to react to you. If you want someone to stay in their comfort zone, don't poke them, because then they're able to just do what they want to do, assess the situation the way they want to assess it, and react accordingly. But if you bring it to them, suddenly they're put in a dynamic situation in which they have to react in a dynamic way. And when that happens, you start slipping up because of all that pressure that comes about. So I like that kind of play, and I feel like the way this game's going, that kind of stuff may be the difference between winning and losing.
Now, which team do you think has the advantage? Because the sleeping lions, the non-team fighting lions, the wait for the female lion to kill the animal and then eat them.
Right now it's 5 versus 4, so Mad Lions.
But yes, which version of Mad Lions will show up? You know, in this type of scenario, Xscoundrel, I know, you know, we've kind of been memeing the Mad Lions a little bit, but they are still one of the stronger looking teams. They are still one of the teams that is playing well. You quoted Rene himself and the vision that this team is playing towards. Is that a problem? Is this something that could come back to bite them?
No, I think absolutely not. I think it's the better way to play League of Legends. It's definitely the way that when you go up through the rankings in terms of level of play, that most teams strive to play like that. I feel in this game, as long as they are focusing jungle pressure in those lanes, that I think that, because Selfmade is so good at doing this, by the way, finding counter-gank situations, and against an Ivern who's not going to duel you. If you counter-gank an Ivern who's trying to get his Camille ahead, he's dead. Like, you could just chop that tree down. He does literally nothing in ganks apart from setting it up. So if you can match Kadril, the map as Selfmade, and then generate pressure in the lanes, that the win condition lies for NiP by generating pressure in their favor, then I feel like a lot of it comes down to self-made. If you can do that, then they can take early objectives. They stop that mid-game spike coming out from NiP, and Mad Lions should take the victory.
Oh, such a tough task to do. You know, stop the mid-game spike, if possible. Not possible, Foxtrot?
I think it's possible. The thing is that Self-Made has proven so far in this tournament, I think him and Tinks have, for me, been the best junglers here that we've seen. And so if you're coming up against this thing where you have to avoid this guy because anytime he shows up, you're in trouble, his counter ganks are so good.
Yeah.
A lot of times when he gets advantages for his teams, it's because he's in the right place at the right time. You can argue that some of that comes down to just being dumb luck, being in the right position. But if it happens consistently, that's because you're doing it deliberately. You might not be able to see it because it comes down to things like jungle pathing.
Yeah.
But he's really good at doing that. And I feel like you're up against it if you're Cadril. Having said that, he is playing a comfort pick. So he should know what to do in these situations. He should know the matchups quite in depth and be able to react to it.
Should, no.
Should is a dangerous
and
word.
Could
Should.
They are dangerous
answers that
statements.
hopefully we will find out a little bit later. Unfortunately, guys, we do still have the technical issue that is being worked through. So to buy us just a little bit of time to work with the teams and try to resolve the problem. I officially take that back. I'm hearing that it may be resumed. So if that is the case, we will be heading back to Hiprain and Celtic Tiger.
On the fly,
but let's
deals
see,
with that
let's see.
information in his
Literally,
ear.
I'm mid-sentence. I'm about to go to a video, and producers say resuming in a few seconds. So we are going to just sit tight, hold on to our hats for now. Just a quick reminder, this is Group D. This is the final game of the regular amount of games for group stage. Mad Lions taking on Ninjas in Pyjamas. If Mad Lions win, we have a three-way tie at the bottom of the table. Thank you very much, graphics. Obviously tells me the game's not going yet, or we're testing it, one of the two. If, however, the Ninjas in Pyjamas win, then we do get ourselves into that scenario where the tiebreakers and the head-to-heads will determine who goes through. I am hearing from our League Operations team that while we're waiting for the players to test, we would prefer not to go back to game, to only cancel, to come back to Analyst S, to go to a video package. So please bear with us.
So if Mad Lions do win, this is 9 teams tied across 3 groups, which is 9 games that would have to be played to resolve that because they're all 3-way ties.
If Mad Lions lose, right?
Mad Lions, yes, if Mad Lions lose,
Yeah.
sorry. So if Mad Lions win, we just have a head-to-head between Movistar and SPG, and it's fine.
And
yeah,
Movistar beat SPG, which would then mean Movistar Riders would advance in the 3rd seed. SPG would be eliminated as they lost that game in terms of the 1-1. I am still waiting to hear an update.
Wait, no, I think I was right.
Yeah, I think I might
Wait a second, you debated me, Foxtrot. I was right.
I'm putting you on the spot, mate.
There would be 3 teams at 1 and 2 if Mad Lions win. So
Yes, you are right.
cheeky Fox over here. Just,
What I
But
can
you
say
said
is
it was 9,
while the production team are still working on that, it's technically 6 teams because we'll have 2 3-way ties.
right,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
So yeah, there was another.
Guys, you see what it is? We're getting to the late. It's 20 past 11 over in mainland Europe, 20 past 10 here in the UK in
Quick shot,
Leicester.
jet lagged.
That's it. I definitely jet lagged. I only got here yesterday, and I'm struggling. I am hearing that we're going back in. Everybody hold your thumbs for me, and let's see if this works. Hiprain and Celtic Tiger, please be lucky.
I swear, the later we go into this game, the more pauses, the more buttons on Scoundrel's top come undone.
Oh man, Scoundrel's getting all of it. I mean, I kind of started it, so I can't give out too much. That's fair.
Right. Let's have a little talk about Mad Lions versus Ninjas in Pyjamas. We've hit a lot on the jungle pressure. We've hit a lot on this mid lane pressure by Larson. We haven't talked too much about Crown Shot and XD Smiley. And XD Smiley yesterday versus SPG, even though they played upset and they lost, he looked very, very good.
Yes, and I think XD Smiley has, especially as the game goes later on, shown up for NiP when they needed it. Now, No Way managed to shut him out of fights in the last game. I'm wondering if Mad Lions will even fight him in the first place, even allow him to get to that later stage, as they look like they're going to make a play here. Oh, nice
that
cancel!
pillar was good. Finn holding the flash, gets over the wall. And the aggressive play by Finn, just trying to get those wards cleared out. He gets punished for it.
Self-Made bringing out some of your spicy fruit there with that pillar. Nice play from him. I think, yeah, I just love watching those pillar cancelling the dashes. It's just such clean play.
We've seen some very good pillars here across all of your Masters. A lot of the players today especially done a really good job of cancelling out crucial gap closers.
Hadriel just missed that spawning where he could have gone and tried to steal that red buff.
That's twice now Ninjas in Pyjamas have done this.
unlucky timing, we'll call it.
It could be a matter of nerves as well. You know, there's a lot on the line for Ninjas and Pyjamas here. They know they're facing one of the strongest teams from one of the strongest regions, and this could really start to be punishing them as...
Yeah, and I definitely think it might be nerves there. You don't have flashes either, and you don't want to commit to starting that passive up. Very hard to turn around when you're in the middle of channeling your friend of the forest. Which is also a very misleading name for the passive, by the way. It means you... Like, I know it is a little more forest-like, but it's generally called the jungle. Right, need to make up their minds on that one.
Well, he's from the forest, to be fair. Just because this is the jungle doesn't mean it's not.
Well,
he's supposed
to be a
nature.
friend of the forest, right? So you think the forest, you know, he's a friend of the forest. You know, maybe the jungle and forest are good friends, and it's like a transitive property there.
You tell me, mate. You tell me.
To clarify for those at home, Hiprain is shrugging extremely heavily. He has no idea where I'm going with this, and I'm not sure I do anymore. So let's drag it back to the game.
Now, Ninjas and Pyjamas picked very aggressive picks to start it out. 3 carries in their first rotation, and they need to execute on this. And so far, it's been quite quiet for them. Mad Lions not letting them actually execute any of these aggressive plays. And where does this start to fall apart for them?
For Mad Lions, I think they're doing absolutely fine. They're going to be able to continue that push forward. They're, again, if they solo this out, still winning the neutral objectives game as we expected from these guys. On the other side, NiP need to find themselves a fight, need to find themselves maybe a big solo play, kind of things that Excoundrel noted that Aranea wants to avoid, wants to play this game as seriously as possible.
Well, we're approaching the 10-minute mark now. Smiley has picked himself up a BF sword. It's a Sheen and a Tear for Crown Shot. So Crown Shot's starting to get into that point where he's going to start to look very scary. Once he gets his first item finished up and he's got that Sheen to boot as well, he's going to have to pump out a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think we've seen, you know, a lot of Ezreal's able to pump out that consistent damage if they can get those skill shots landed. And I believe Crown Shot is a very skilled AD carry. I believe he should be able to move around with this Ezreal, and more importantly, I believe Mad Lions will put themselves in a position to allow him to siege, make that even easier for him. And I definitely think, looking at this Mad Lions comp, it's all about the siege. You have Azir, you have Ezreal, a lot of poke. If they try to engage on your siege, you have good disengage. They're going to need it here.
Hustling Beast goes forward, and it looks like Kadril was a little bit slow to the punch. Ninjas and Pyjamas trying to punish, but not finding the openings. Larson stepping forward with Nemesis. The shuffles flash back. And Larson going to be able to get out scot-free.
And this is NiP's strong microplay that we touched on. Definitely coming out in force there, but it does force Larson's flash. And here's the macro.
Pillow's already been used. That's the Hextech ultimatum. And now Finn forced to run away. Decimating Smashes dodged out, but the Subjugate is on. Finn trying to stay alive under the turret for Selfmade. Pumping so much out. Who's going to find first blood? It looks like Whirlip's going to be able to as he brings the hammer down on top of Finn.
And nice again. I was touching on, you know, really strong micro from NiP. A really great roam up from Selfmade, sneaks himself into that top side. Now Kadril might be caught out as well if he tries to play too far up here.
Well, it doesn't have that ultimate available quite yet, and it looks like Kadril should be nice and safe. Did have Daisy available to him as well. But this goes back to, you know, he picked up this Ivern. What is actually Kadril looking to make happen with this? It's a comfort pick, so yes, he obviously wants to be a bit more comfortable going into this game, but what does it actually offer to Ninjas and Pyjamas?
Especially towards the mid-game, it offers you a lot of safety for your carries. And I think that facilitates the Smiley carry that we touched on before, and certainly Larson looking to follow that up on the rise. So if you start pulling ahead in NiP, you can put the shields down in your carries. They can play a lot further forward than they otherwise would. And Daisy as well helps create these large zones where Mad Lions will be forced to play back. I think Mad Lions comp, though, very good at dealing with that, which is why I think there's been a lot of question marks drawn around this Ivern pick, especially given the situation it's been drafted into.
Larson, Kadril, and Smiley all played on the Avalus in the ESL Premiership over in the UK. And Larson was very good at executing the kind of micro meta that the UK has, is these roaming mid laners. Now he's on a team with Finn and Hustling Beast as well. Very aggressive players. I want to see Larson actually start to put the plays out around the map, start forcing Mad Lions' hands, because at the moment, it does feel like Mad Lions are the ones in full control of the game. I mean, if you do look at the gold lead, it's 1.5k, and there's only been 1 kill.
And I think, you know, you see them with their great map control, the great way they move around the map. and only now are NiP trying to walk up and, you know, remove some of their vision. But Mad Lions still have plenty around many of these key areas.
Well, it looks like Nemesis could be on the receiving end of a gank, but hiding behind his wall, his minions, sorry, making sure he's nice and safe. But if you do look at the top side as well, Selfmade soloing out this Rift Herald, so good objective control.
Yeah, and I think right back down, they've already managed to solo out the Cloud Dragon. You just saw a lot of focus from NiP into controlling the bot side jungle. There's no objective there, though. Mad Lions go, give us another free one, please.
Mad Lions recognizing exactly what is on the map and what is available to them. This is one of their strengths. This map control, this tempo control. I know I keep saying map control and tempo control, but this is what made Mad Lions look so strong in the group stages.
Yeah, and I mean, the big thing is that they don't want to fight. They don't need to fight. They've, first of all, already gotten themselves first blood. But secondly, all they need to do is keep dragging NiP around the map. Look at what they've gotten so far. It hasn't looked flashy. They have already accrued themselves, though, this small, coming up to 2k gold lead on top of both big neutral objectives on the map. So while it's slow, while it's methodical, it's successful.
Larssen now, he's the one who's starting to get shoved in by Nemesis. Earlier on, we did see Larssen with a lot of the pressure in lane, but looks like for now, Nemesis has started to pull this game back, this lane back, sorry, a little bit more into his favor. He's shoving Larssen in over and over again. If you do look at Werlib as well, you know, Finn picked this. Camille blind into him, and it's a 20 CS lead to Werlib at the moment.
And this comes back to actually one of my earlier analyst desk predictions. When I saw Camille picked and they were looking for a tankier member, I expected Sion to be picked into it, because he actually has a decent lane into her early on. And certainly if you follow it up some jungle pressure, as we saw from Selfmade, you can really punish that Camille before she can get rolling.
Also, lots of shove priority now for the Mad Lions. Earlier they were getting shoved in, but as we're approaching 15 minutes, as we're approaching mid-game, they're starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. Ezreal constantly trying to shove the bot lane in. Mid lane starting to shove as well, and Werlib, he's having a pretty decent game versus Finn as Hustling Beast tries to go forward with the headbutt pulverized. But once again, just able to dodge his way out there. Crown shot.
And NiP trying to play to their win condition here, which I appreciate. They are attempting to execute these big ganks, these big plays. You have the Alistar in the bot lane, you have the Ivern who can follow up excellently on that. You want to make these engages work. But Mad Lions have drafted themselves such safe picks that is really difficult for NiP to find these. On top of the fact that they have enough vision control every time to respond just in time to get out of place.
Well, we did see NiP had control of the bot side when Drake wasn't up. Now the Drake's up, and it looks like Hustling Beast is getting engaged on. True Shot Barrage comes through, and Crown Shot able to pick himself a kill up, and now Mad Lions just turning back onto this Drake. Although Selfmade maybe just wants to clear a couple of wards out.
Daisy's out. I mean, I still believe that Trundle will have a very easy time fighting this.
Does have Larssen coming down as well.
Yeah, Azir's pushed in. Ryze gained that mid priority.
But so is bot lane. Bot lane is pushed in for the side of NiP, so while Ryze was able to come down, it was still a 3v2. And this now means Mad Lions, with clearing out this mid lane as well, have 4 members on this Infernal Drake, and it's going to be uncontested.
Back to their macro game. They even catch someone out on the rotation there. I would say that's a slight misplay from Hustlin. It was also an extremely late ult, which meant that he lost a lot of the damage reduction. He immediately went down. It's always going to be a difficult play, though.
Looks like Larssen wants to come in. Unstoppable Onslaught is flashed in front of a Werlib. Gets ulted in by the Hextech Ultimatum underneath his own tower, though, so he should be nice and safe. And Finn taking tower shot after tower shot. Redemption by Cadril will heal him up. But in the meantime, Selfmade recognizes this as a chance to push in the mid lane.
And I love this. They try to make the play topside. You force that play towards mid, and this immediately opens up the map, and they don't have the wave clear to deal with you. Gets you first tower. On top of the fact you've already lowered that top tower health, and bot tower can now be pushed into by your own bot lane of that Braum Ezreal. All around the map, Mad Lions are now putting down the pressure.
Mad Lions just constantly playing this disengage game. They only find a pick if they know they can definitely do it. Play with a lot of respect for all of their opponents, as we do actually have Hustling Beast and Cadril sitting on top of a control ward, not been spotted, and Falco could get spotted out, but Smiley's not quite close. Knockout comes through as they're going to just deliver Larssen. Falco, Smiley trying to take the 1v1, but it looks like Falco getting engaged on top of. Buster shot back as he hops out. And again, the disengage by Mad Lions is so good.
Nice sneaky play for them. Hiding that brush does not work out for them, though. As again, we come back, the disengage, the safety of these picks from the Mad Lions. They're not going to fight this because they don't need to. They get the tower topside, they can keep that push going.
This does look like NiP will be at least able to get themselves a turret here in the bot lane, but like you said, in topside, Werlib going to answer back, and you know, Mad Lions, they like to try and find these free objectives as much as possible. But even if they do lose an objective, they normally trade it for another one on the other side of the map. This is what made them look so strong.
I will say, though, that I do like that NiP are playing more aggressive, playing around some of the strengths of their comp. Alistair, great at diving because of that ultimate, because of the damage reduction he has, on top of the fact that you can shield it up with an Ivern. So, coming back to playing to their strengths, but Mad Lions still looking so dominant in the macro.
The game's been quiet, but a lot has happened. It seems like not a lot has happened, but there's been 2 Drakes already picked up, there's been 3 towers taken, there's been 2 kills, and Mad Lions have got themselves the gold lead off it. It's 4K to them for the moment, and now NiP swapping their bot lane into this top side, but Werlib is there.
Look, they're not making these crazy plays, but they are just hard winning this one. Like, it's not your gamer's origin. It's not, you know, previously what would have been click tech, but here's a flashy play instead.
Well, they're trying to get a kill onto the tanky Werlib at the moment. He's got the shields up. He's going to get locked in place. Smiley just free-firing away. Looks like this will be enough to get the kill. He's trying to get the decimating smash down, but XD Smiley picks up the first kill for NiP, but so crucially, an objective goes down top, and it means Mad Lions will just take an objective bot lane.
Not only that, they were also pushing in the mid lane. Camille has to make that engage work if she wants to attempt to fight the Azir push. And it will take them still another while longer to actually fight and to actually get the tower in that top lane. So now Mad Lions can rotate, get this mid lane tower, and it doesn't even matter. They will just constantly win, map around for these guys. They don't need to make these fancy engages because they're just so much better at getting these objectives down constantly.
And I thought if any team could punish them in this group, NiP would be that team. They've been playing for the fight. They've been playing for the late game. And it's still okay for NiP. They're very good at fighting from behind, and that is one of the things I do want to keep my eyes on. As this game moves later, NiP may be able to force these fights a little bit better.
But what the strength of Mad Lion's strategy has always been is that you are forced to fight from behind. You never get to be ahead, because of how well they play their early game rotations. From there, when you finally do take that fight, it's just a quick roll and Mad Lions can end.
I do worry about what Caedrel's going to be able to do as we move later onto Ivern, because you don't build him tanky, you just build him like a second support.
And I think, yeah, I mean, Ivern is just that secondary support, and I think you could see that in the way he's building. You know, they have, you know, going towards this Athenes. You had the Redemption come down earlier just in case the top lane went down. They aren't lacking in terms of damage because of the 3 carry comp they have, but certainly lacking in objectives in this current state of the game.
They're also lacking in a front line as well. You've got Alistair, who is a support tanky hybrid, so it's not full tank. And even if he does build any kind of tanks, that self-made with a Subjugate will just completely negate that. And then there's just no front line for Ninjas and Pyjamas. And that just won't give the time over for the carries to get these kills down, or this damage down.
And importantly now, look at the vision for Mad Lions at the bot side. They have complete control of that river. There is 1 ward from NiP in that river. Mad Lions have slowed the whole game down. They've played it back because they know Dragon's spawning in 30 seconds. Let's just wait for that. Again, it comes right back down to, it's not that we don't even need to fight you, we don't even want to fight you. Why bother when we could just win?
And that has been how Mad Lions have played, and it kind of feels like they would win on the slow game, but actually they do this macro play so fast in the rotations around. They've actually got very fast games typically in the group stages. I think their quickest game was about 25 minutes. Is Hustling Beast actually getting engaged on? Glacial Fisher will knock him up. Smiley on the back end. He's forced to hop out of the fight. Nobody on Ninjas and Pyjamas dies as I say that. Crown shot. He's able to pick himself off a kill, and look at that. Second Infernal Drake, and the 3rd Drake is spawning. Mad Lions able to pick that up uncontested.
And such heavy focus towards these neutral objectives. You've gotten yourself a double Infernal and Cloud now. Good RNG for this comp. who wants to now start moving towards setting up sieges, start moving towards maybe trying for this Baron. As it is now, though, NiP at least have noted that. They've at least gone, we should establish some Baron control with our vision. But now it's just going to be Mad Lions are going to walk up. They're the ones with the pressure. They can walk up and clear those wards.
And we were talking about how, you know, Mad Lions aren't really one for fighting. They do fight. It's not like they do nothing all game. They fight when they know they can win. They saw Finn top lane, and they went, cool, 5v4. This is our time to make a fight happen, as Larssen is getting engaged on by Nemesis. The shove comes through. Got a lot of damage up in the shields. He's going to realm warp his way out, and Larssen does get out, but he got hard bursted by Nemesis.
But you'll note that they rarely go for those kind of 1v1 plays. If that were another team, you would have seen him attempt to chase down that Realm Warp. Instead, he's perfectly happy. He just got the Realm Warp out, Larssen's forced away, the pressure is theirs, and they're just really happy to settle for this pressure.
Larssen actually didn't use anything to switch out his his spellbook to switch his Ghost. He's quite happy with that. It's Finn losing the 1v1 with Werlib. Werlib does have that unstoppable onslaught, but again, like you said, it's that tempered aggression by Mad Lions. They never want to overcommit for anything. They're content forcing Ninjas in Pyjamas away.
Taking it slow here, and I respect them for it. Although I do wish it were faster. Just that little bit.
It's quite fun to watch. You know, the EU Masters has been so explosive. Every team has looked so close, but one team has had a complete consistency in their play style, and that is Mad Lions. The questions I have is how are they actually going to show up against some of these more aggressive teams and teams who are better at executing that. Hustling Beast goes in, but he is going to get picked off. That's the power of the Subjugate, ripping through one of these tanky members, and now it's a 3 versus 2 as Crown Shot does sliver in forward, but isn't going to overcommit.
He just wanted to ward, man. Come on. You know, he wants to get some form of map control now. So did he. He just wanted to walk. They all just want to ward. Instead, it's just going to realistically be the Baron going over.
This is such Mad Lions style as well. Get themselves control over the Baron area, and they're looking to go for it, but it's at 2,400 health. Cajal could go over that wall, can't get it in time as Daisy hops in, and Nemesis just easily slides over and picks himself up a kill. Larssen could get flashed on by Werlib. Here comes the unstoppable onslaught. There is a heal coming down, and Larssen ducking and diving and slowed up. Falco underneath the tower, Smiley free-firing away. Decimating Smash comes through, and now Selfmade with a pillar. Not going to look for more of a chase, and Mad Lions find themselves a kill and the Baron Nashor.
And again, not overcommitting to that. They know, okay, we should back, make sure the Camille can't keep pushing for that inhib. We've got the Baron. We just won that fight. We're now sitting at a 6k gold lead with only 5 kills. And that's what's been really unique about Mad Lion's style. Anytime we see Gamer's Origin pop off, Tinks is on a carry and he's just, you know, killing people left or right. He's getting these crazy engages. He's going off on Graves. He's going off on Nidalee. Mad Lions, no one's really going off. They're sitting down and going, look, we'll get our picks. We've caught Hustlin now 3 times on the rotation. We'll shut down his vision control, forcing him to have to walk forward if they don't want to give up more objectives. They get the kill and the objective because they are great at establishing their own vision and great at playing around the priority that even early on they made sure to have in those lanes.
Be a turret going down in the mid lane and Selfmade kind of hitting on your point about how this team have been playing. There's a Realm Walk coming off to the side. We could see Larssen look for it, but the turret's falling. 25 minutes on the clock. Mad Lions really starting to step up and pick the tempo up. Inhibitor falls down at 26 minutes, and Mad Lions looking great in this game.
And this is what I talked about. Their strength is in a siege comp. So once Mad Lions are ahead, they can just immediately set up these sieges. And that's why I like the way they drafted, because it plays exactly to their style. Once we're ahead, which we've guaranteed by covering our early objective control, we can just walk up, siege, and there is nothing you guys could do about it.
It's like they have a checklist. Here comes Beast. He gets himself a free-man knock-up of Smiley, free-firing on the back. Watch Larssen, watch Smiley. That's going to be 1 kill picked up by Mad Lions. They're chasing in for more. Werlib trying to get himself a knock-up on the Finn, and he does connect, so it's a double kill onto Ezreal. Larssen stunned up. He's going to get taken down by Nemesis, and 3 kills are picked up by the Mad Lions.
Well, that's the biggest team fight you're going to see these guys have to do, because this is going to be the clean end of the game from these guys. I like it. It's methodical, but, you know, there is a level
Crown Shot.
Yeah.
He's going to die, but it's clean and controlled. Mad Lions lose 1, but they still are able to take the game. 27 minutes on the clock. And they just played a school in macro.
And that's literally it. They just completely owned the game. You know, slowly teaching this NiP roster why they have gone 3-0 in their group. And I think they've taught that to the other 2 teams as well. never looking like they were out of control at any point.
It's just such a Mad Lions way to play. So controlled, so clean and decisive. And Ninjas in Pyjamas are probably just scratching their head going, hold on, what just happened? Our base is gone.
When do I get to carry? I wanted to fight, and Mad Lions just walked us around the map, caught our support out like 3 times, and then they just walked up with Baron, took 2 towers, inhib, end the game.
It was insanely clean by Mad Lions. I'm very curious to see, as we move into the playoff stage, actually how they're going to compare to some of these larger teams. But we're going to let the analyst desk break that game down. So quick shot, over to you.
It's so important you say playoffs because we know Mad Lions are there. They're 3-0. We just haven't got a clue who's going to be joining them because we have another 3-way tie. Ninjas in Pyjamas, Movistar Riders, and SPG Esports all now need to compete, along with the other 3-way tie that includes Origin, ClickTech as well. Sorry, Origin XL and Euronics. Is that correct? So, before we get to that...
Euronics are out.
Thank you, thank you. I knew it was ClickTech. I've doubted myself. I'm like, they're so good. Let's bring it back to Mad Lions. Xcoundrel, the casters talked a lot about just how Mad Lions ran circles around NiP. What else was it?
I think it was primarily that. I also think Selfmade had great impact across almost every lane. I mean, look, Cadre was doing nothing on either, and we didn't expect him to do